All right, here we are, and let's continue. Great. So let's go. Yeah, great. We have it running. So, all right. So I was saying something here, and I'll repeat it for the stream quickly. My goal is that you guys become independent in this studio use. There will be a babysitter with you all the time when you're there, Tria Timofey, and that's cool. So I will not repeat that. So you arrive to the studio, and you want to start working. And the first kind of rule of using a studio that I want to tell you is that the speakers have to be off like 80% of the time. Like, you really need to print this in your head. Speakers are off 80% of the time.
Excuse me.
Why? Because sometimes you're gonna go somewhere else and maybe go to the toilet or go to buy food, and you leave some people here. Like, my goal is that you guys really become studio engineers. So I'm trying to share with you all the things that I have learned, and those things have been learned with pain and mistakes. And because I run this place with Ilya, it means that I also pay for the broken things. So that's complicated when it happens. Like, the speakers are kind of like 500,000 rubles or something, and if they break, they break, and I don't think it's so easy to repair them in Russia. And so the whole thing like that. And so operating the studio requires, like, you need to be, imagine like a Miami Beach power boat, like this, like Motorne Lodge in Miami Beach. Like, imagine the captain who takes people to party, on the beach, and maybe that captain is gonna make some little cocktail sometimes and maybe have a bit of a party with the guys, but the whole thing can go wrecked and everybody can die if the guy fucks it up, or the lady fucks it up. So the spirit of the studio engineer has to be something like that. It's like a guy who is really, or a lady who is really flexible, is ready to make everybody happy and party and make a good atmosphere, but is somebody who loses the game if you break something. So it's a bit of a narrow, balance. Because if you're too stroggy and too, like, a tight ass, then the whole thing is not going to flow. It's going to be an annoying session to work with you. Like, don't touch this, don't move, don't do this. Like, everything has to be flow and relaxed. But if you have a set of basic security protocols along the way, then you will be able to party and also, like, to have a fun session and not break anything. So the first rule I said, and you will see me do this a lot, is like the speakers will have to be switched on, like, in a great percentage of the lectures. For those of you who just arrived, the goal of this lecture is that there are two things happening this week, today and Friday. Today, I'm going to make a practice with you guys, in which kind of like, well, I don't think I'm going to be the singer, but we will put the singer there, and then we're going to send signal from Ableton to the singer and back. But I will not be doing this. It's kind of more you. So I want to see how you, and we're going to try to do it по очереди. So again, for those of you who just arrived, on Friday, there is another lecture exactly like this, but I will not be here. You will be with the babysitter of the studio. So you can start building a relationship with Ivan. So you can start building a relationship with him. And in order for you to be able to book DTH Studios, you will have to pass assignment that I will put in Google Classroom. The assignment will consist, you're going to film a video of you, like, it's like kind of like, you already have the signal flow done, and then you show me a video like, hey man, look, like, I have signal here, I have signal here, I have signal there, everybody has signal, I made a successful signal flow. And you're going to write me a little PDF explaining me your steps. Like, for this to work, I had to do this, 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 and this. Then when you pass that, it's like, okay, you can now book the studio. What for? In my opinion, Moscow Music School, and I disagree here, in my opinion, to do whatever the fuck you want. Like, that's my opinion. Because, the point is that you kind of make an investment in the studio, in the school, and then you get a whole bunch of hours. What for? To do whatever you want. The school direction, they want all the events that you do in the studio to be connected to assignments. I disagree with this, because what gave me an advantage, a very powerful advantage in London, was that I had infinite amounts of hours in the studio. And my expectation and my desire is that you go all over Moscow and you see a band that you like, and you're like, I'll record you in my studio, come to my studio, not record in my studio. It's not mine, but it's of the school where I'm learning, please come, and I will be, and then this will start building up your network, because you have some little, and not so little, token to offer, some little thing to offer. I have a friend who moved to Serbia, and like many students from Moscow Music School moved to Serbia, and they all went to study in SAE, in the School of Audio Engineering, And so I wrote to my friend who was in Serbia, like, man, I have like 1,000,000 free hours of recording studio for you, waiting. Just contact these people. And I mean, the point is that you guys are only going to become strong in the studio if you practice a lot. And for this, my recommendation is every time you see a show that you like, just approach to the person like, man, that was great performance. I studied Moscow Music School. I have access to a studio. Let's record something. And then you're going to have also the things that you have to do for the school. So all of those of you who are engineers, you have 50 hours. Those of you who are songwriters have 30. We will find, it will be all right. I'm sure that you will find a way to make this enough hours, and we'll talk about that later. But anyways, we arrived to the studio, and what do? So the speakers remained off. Let me just do this tour here. The speakers remain off. And how do you switch them on? Well, you have this little switch here, like green. Great. So the speakers remain off. And the second thing that you're going to have to do is to switch the computer. I hate this computer. I really do hate this computer. Because I hate computers that don't let me change things inside of them. And changing things inside of this computer is a pain in the ass. But whatever. And also, I'm already aesthetic. So whatever. That's how it is. It's like Mac has this way of designing things, which is like, there is a power button. But it's like so hidden that you're going to suffer trying to find it. Just find the power button. Just try to find the power button. I mean, now I said that it's hard to find, and you're going to find it like in a second. But the first time I came to touch this computer, I really spent like 10 minutes just like, where the fuck do you switch this on?
One.
No, it's not there. It's so fucking stupid. I'm happy to see that. I'm not the only monkey. Yeah, there you go. Like, it's like, for God's sake, it's like,
Push it.
Push it. For God's sake, it's like so fucking far away. So, okay, it switched on. Like, it's like some hidden button there under the... It's some bullshit. Okay, the next thing that we are going to do while the system is setting up is to switch on the sound card. So there are 2 sound cards, okay? Vanya knows better than me how to connect these two, how these 2 sound cards works, because they did this connection. I'm going to switch them both on, and I am assuming that they should work. On Friday, you can ask him more questions about them. What's happening is that sound card, who has a sound card here? Everybody lift their hands, right? Like, yeah. Maybe Pasha has, because we have talked about your system, maybe Pasha has like a bit more like a sound card that has more sound channels. But I'm assuming that all your sound cards have 2 channels only. All of you. Maybe 4 maximum. So for inputs, right? Or
4 input and 2 output.
Okay, great. So this system, because we need to record drums and we need to record bass. So how many channels do you think this system has? Try to guess. Just try to guess. Many. You know?
40.
No, not 40, not 8.
16.
16, yeah.
16 to the subs maybe.
There are 16 channels, and they're not working with the subs. They're working. In this case, they're working with. There's 2 sound cards. Each one has 8 channels in, and then there's an ADAT connection between them. An ADAT connector is like a fiber optic cable, literally, that connects them between them. I don't like this kind of arrangement because, as you know me, I don't like steps of quantization. So what does it mean? That the sound card is converting something from analog to digital. And the way it works is like sound card A is connected via analog cables to the studio, and sound card B is connected to analog cables to the studio. It makes a conversion from analog to digital, and then it sends a digital signal to here. So their connection between them it's not analog. And that connection, if anybody is curious, if you go on the back there, let me just show you in the recording. If you go to the back there, well, I guess that it would be impossible to see, but there is this cable that looks like an antenna for TV. You see? What's going on?
Sorry for bothering
No
you,
worries.
but I need a trash can.
There is a trash can there next to the Maybell there. If not, just leave this there around for a while.
Okay.
So you see that you don't need to know this at the stage where you are, but I want you to understand things from the beginning. Like, this is an ADAT cable that connects both sound cards. So
the subs.
we don't need these subs here because these cards don't even have a DSOP port.
I see.
No, there is one, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but this one is actually, we're using it for the sounds out.
Okay.
So, okay, each sound card has a way in and a way out. Like, your sound card has 2 ways out. Our sound card has 8 ways out. And why do you want the sound card to have 8 ways? Because you want musicians to hear you and you want some flexibility. So we switched on the computer and we switched on the sound card. So I'm gonna be making here a little text thing, and I will put it on the LMS, just kind of like an algorithm, you know, of like what I think should happen. That way. So speakers remain off 80% of the time. 2, computer on. 3, sound card on. To be honest with you, I have a different algorithm which is more like sound card on and then computer on. Like I first switch on the sound cards and then switch on the computer. And then I arrive to here, and the first thing that I recommend you to do is to check, because the first thing that I recommend you to do is to check that everything is working. The reason why I tell you that is because I know Antelope Audio very well, and they just have the worst software in the universe. Like, it's really bad. Like, it's terrible. And so sometimes you just like arrive to everything is work, but there was some huña between the sound card and the computer, and you spend 3 hours trying to fix a problem that it would have been fixed if you just reset the computer and that's it. So then, like, computer on, like sound card on, computer on, and then check an MP3. Just like, okay, is it working? Like, fine. So you sit down here and you enter to the studio. Like, the password is music. So you enter to the Studio B thing, and then you go anywhere, and let's find an MP3. Like, I mean, it can be whatever. In the downloads, there is always some MP3 there. And so you press play, and the first thing you try to do is to see the meters. I press play to the MP3, and the first thing I tried to do was to see the meters, and I see that there is something happening. So it can be that when you see the meter, it can be that you press play here and you don't see anything. It can happen, and that doesn't mean that there is not a signal. It's a lot of information I have to tell you guys, and there's no way around this. Like, that's why you need to practice. It's the only way you will learn, because all of the things I'm telling you, all of them are equally important. So unfortunately, there is no book that can tell you this. Every studio is unique, and this is our system, so you need to learn it. So you see, then you need to learn a bit to read this little screen here. Like, I'm just gonna show you the screen. I don't think it's possible even to see it, but that thing says USB play. So Dasha, what do you think USB play means?
Yeah.
What do you think USB play means? What is that? Yeah, but I'm asking Dasha. I'm asking you.
Вау, Паш, спасибо,
Yeah.
конечно.
So, okay. And where do I change this screen? I mean, I'm asking in this case you, like, just grab you. How do I change whatever is happening in that screen? Like,
What do you mean, like the thing?
what do you think this screen can show me actually?
I mean, you can change those buttons.
Which one?
Hmm?
Which one?
Like the channels, you can switch.
What channels?
Which channels you're showing.
So I mean, I'm just kind of
Yeah.
trolling a bit, asking questions. I know it's really unfair. So because I wanted to grab people's attention. So okay, this screen has,
Like,
you see,
can
like,
change where you get the audio from.
okay, but I mean, it has kind of like 2 sides, right? Like up and
Yeah.
down. Like, so what is that? Why there's an up and why there's a down?
1 to 16 and then.
Really?
16
Like,
to 32.
maybe that's
channels?
okay. Yeah, but 1 to 16, what?
The channels,
Inputs or outputs?
inputs.
No, they're outputs in this case. Pasha told it to you. Pasha just said it. So what is this? What is this last thing that is there? What? Yeah, but what is that? What am I looking at there? I understand it's MP3, but what is the meaning of that thing moving there? It means what?
It's an output signal.
No, why is it output if it's from the computer? So it's input
Yeah. No,
to the sound card.
So it's called USB play, and Pasha told us that USB play means sound outside of the card to the world, right? So the screen USB play is telling you something. What is that USB play screen telling you?
The external signal, ну, который выходит, so it's output.
It's an output. So what does this mean? I see that, and what does this mean?
MP3
Where?
in the
speaker.
channel 16. 32 тут, ну.
32 only? 32 only?
And 31.
Correct.
Ну, тут стерео уже.
So I'm seeing this, and I already got information.
I assume there's mono channels and there are like pairs of them, and they form in stereo signal, yeah?
Yes. So
Okay.
I have some information provided me by the screen. The information is output 31 and 32 is working. Awesome. So what can that mean to us? Well, I mean, like I told you, in studios, it's usual, it's a custom around the world, that the path of monitoring, let's get this word fixed. You know, the correct way to answer this is like that the monitor path is working. Like, that's what an engineer says when you see that. Like, or channels 31 and 32 are outputting signal, because we need to use the correct terminology. And then what is the importance of the output 31, 32? That in recording studios, usually the monitoring path is the last two channels of the system. You know, it's just a convention. Like in all the studios in the world where I have been, it's been like that. And it's just like people got used to that. So I'm telling you, so you know, that the path of output monitoring of this system is 31, 32. So I came and I checked an MP3, but still there was no sound. Why? I hear nothing.
Speakers are
The
off.
speaker are off. Great.
Ah.
Yeah, and that's important. So okay, great. I have a signal. So I know that the system is working. I know that, and this is really important because of the glitchiness of this Huña and also on Piatti. It's just like I bought an Antelope last week, like a Zengo, and it's the same in my computer at home. It's just like these guys do great converters and terrible software. It's just how it is. And my Zengo, that is the most simple thing in the world, it just has two channels. It also, sometimes like I'm working and it's like, and I go to drink and I come back and it's like it doesn't work. And I'm like, but why? I mean, I just went to have a glass of water, like, and I have to reset the computer. Like, to be fair, I thought that it was because of a Hackintosh system, but this is a super official Mac. Now, let me show you something. Let's see if this happens. This happened to me on Sunday. I was working here, and this happens to me a lot. And it's important that you see this trouble, this issue, so you understand what happened. Look at this. Oh yeah, I really want to hear some. I'm sorry if this doesn't work, so this doesn't happen. Okay, it happened to me quite a couple of times, and it would be amazing if I can demonstrate this to you. But I'm not sure if it's gonna happen. I'm gonna connect a MIDI controller, and now I'm gonna press play. Ah yeah, and it works. Okay, fine, fair enough. I mean, it happens with USB powered systems that you connect another device that is USB powered, and then the sound card goes off.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're like, fuck, like I had a signal, my client is waiting for me, I just connected a MIDI controller, and now like I don't have a signal of audio. Why? You know, it happened. You see, I really wanted it to happen. You see, and there is no signal in the meter. So you need to develop a set of like mind checks. You know, it's like, fuck, I had a signal 5 seconds ago. That's why I told you, start by playing an MP3. Until you don't pass any of these steps, you cannot move to the next one. But the special thing that you will develop as a sound engineer will be to kind of, because I mean, imagine right now you will be for a couple of years in an isolated space in which your clients are not paying for your time. So that's a really cool time in which if you make mistakes, nobody cares. But I mean, imagine that I come here and I'm like, I have a client there waiting for me, and I'm like, no, I will not move on to the next step until I don't pass this step prior. And the guy, they're waiting like, and I'm just trying to, so sometimes you're going to have to skip steps because you're trying to pick up something. So it's like, fuck, okay, the computer is not working, but I need to put some mics. So let me just put some mics, and then I'll figure out the computer thing so my client feels that I'm doing something. Because if the client sees you like, he starts freaking out and the session goes wrong. You have to, I mean, I'll tell you an advice that my grandfather told me. He was like, what was it? I mean, I want to tell you a funny joke about him and a funny story about him, and yeah, I remember both. Which one you want to hear? The funny story? It's not related. It's about my grandpa. The funny story or the advice?
Both.
At the same time, I can't. Like, which one I say first?
Funny story.
Funny story. We were in a lift. And in Caracas, and we came out of the lift, and then he started laughing, and I was like, what happened? And he was like, I just dropped a gigantic fart, but he was that kind of guy. I mean, he was like, just like, and he was really like super serious guy, and you would not expect that he was going to tell you that, you know, and he was like, everybody back there is just like suffering a lot, and I was like, why? Because I just dropped a huge fart, and I was like, okay, grandpa, thanks. Apart from that, he was a really awesome dude, and he was a big industrialist man. Like, he built a huge industry. He was a really amazing person, and and I would guess with amazing farts. And he once told me something like, he was super Italian, like super, like, hey, listen to me, figlio, listen to me. In life, you can do whatever you want. All you need to have is a face that show that you know what you're doing, And he's really right. I mean, and he's really wrong at the same time. I mean, of course, in order to do something, you need to have skills, and that's more important than the face. But if you have the skills and you have the face of like, oh my God, everything is wrong, your clients are going to freak out, and then you're going to start losing control of the session. And trust is everything here. So okay, I gave you a sidetrack just saying like, I'm going to give you an order. The order of those steps you must follow. And like every rule in the world, you become more pro when you can violate those rules and still be successful. So what usually happens to me is that I want to show my clients that I'm under control, and I want to show my clients that things are moving, that their money is being well spent, and it's not like I'm here trying to fix a problem. And if a problem comes out, I immediately come to them and say, yo, man, listen, I have a problem. You are not going to pay for any rubble of a problem of mine. So that sucks from my side. I'm going to own it, and I'm going to lose the revenue. That sucks, but that's how it's going to be. And if I would count how many hours I lost because of DTH technical failures, I would be a fortune, really. I mean, so many things happened to me like that. Whatever. That computer cost me like 200,000 rubles of losses, like for sure, like absolutely. So anyway, back to this. So you see, I showed you a case in which everything was working. I just plugged a MIDI controller and the thing stopped working. So what do I do about that? Well, I'm going to switch off the computer and then see what the hell is happening. So I'm going to just switch off the computer, switch off the sound cards. That's it. The first thing that you have to do is that. Yesterday, Anton Verendiakin, you know him better now. He's in the school a lot, like Anton, the new admin. He's also a babysitter here, and also an engineer here. He's also recording bands. And he called me like at 10 in the night, like, man, speaker left is not working. What the fuck? I didn't damage the barefoots, I promise you. And I was like, man, just switch off the system and come back and everything will be fine. And he reset the system and brought me like, everything is cool. So 90% of the problems are going to fix like that. So, okay, we start again. We switch on the computer, we switch on the car, and switch on the computer. And now, but we left the MIDI controller connected. Like, this sound card obtains power from a cable that is giving it power, and also it obtains power from the USB ports. And so when you connect another thing that it's not self-powered, that it requires, you see, like this thing has the option of a block Betania. But I'm not using it right now, so it means that 100% of its power is getting it from the USB ports. So what happened right now is like I disbalanced the administration of power of the computer. And the computer was like, I was really comfortable here sending some power to the sound card. Oh shit, now you want me to send power to power a MIDI controller. Oops. And the whole system gets out of balance. Like, how did I figure that out? Well, I mean, it was years of problems that made me reach that conclusion. And now, I mean, and actually, I was here with a client the other day, like 3 weeks ago, the first time I had this problem, and it ate away like 30 minutes of my session. So that's, in my world, that's 1,250 rubles less, just because that happened, and so that sucks. And so, okay, I returned to the system, and now let's see if it works. Maybe it doesn't. There it is, like the same thing, now it all works. Great, so you know that already,
So the thing that I need to plug it before everything.
Before you switch on the computer, correct. But sometimes you don't know, because I mean, maybe this happens when you're 4 hours in the session and your client is like,
better to do this anyway.
Maybe, but sometimes it happens that in the hour 4 your client is like, can you please connect a MIDI controller? Yeah, sure, everything is gonna be fine, and you lose all the sound, and then you're like, fuck, what the hell is gonna do? So okay, great. So we have that, and we have a signal. So here I have check an MP3. It works. Okay, great. My next advice with you would be check your talkback. You know what talkback is? Nobody knows what talkback is? It's the microphone that I use to talk to the person there. Because you cannot be like writing in a paper like, next take, please. You need to talk to them. So in order for you to check talkback, you're going to have to get used to this app. And this is going to take us to the absolutely horrendous world of Antelope audio software, unfortunately for all of us. Yeah, and Pasha laughs because he knows it's true. Like, it's just pizdiet. Like, really. But anyways, I'm gonna open this program. So there is, like, when this happens to you, you're gonna ask Vanya, there is a problem, and then he'll help you to fix. But that's not the point. The point is that you become independent. So okay, you open Antelope Launcher. What is my goal right now? My goal right now is to be able to monitor the talkback. I want to see it. I just want to see that it works. You know, I can already, at the moment where I am, I can already see it working. I know it's working already, even without looking at this card. Can you try to tell me if you see it? There you see. That's so you have several steps of like monitoring. Okay? This is really important. You have several steps of monitoring. So the step 1 of monitoring should be, at this point, I will also switch off the speakers back. The first step of monitoring should be visual. Should be like, you will hear only when everything is running. And how can you do that? Well, you just look at the meters. So it's important that you know that there are input meters and there are output meters. So you can see what's coming in the card and what's going out the card. You're not used to this because your cards don't have this. Some of them have. I have a new little Arturia card that I use to play shows and little thing like this, that it has a meter. That's great. But many Scarlets or whatever, they don't have a meter, so you don't know what's happening. But these cards have a meter. So this is the input of this channel. So great. I know that the talkback is there. Now, let's get a little bit acquainted with this Orion software here. So I opened it. If it lets me open, you see, like, it opens a second program. Like, this is just like to connect to their server, like the Antelope whatever, Huña, and then I hate this. I just so loaded with anger towards this company because it's just terrible, terrible software. And then you see, like, it's loading, and now you have this super huge thing. So I kind of don't want to bother you with too many details here, because there is a lot of stuff that you need to know here. But I think that what you need to know is, like, you see, there is a button here called meters. You see, and that's useful. That means that I can see things, you know. So what can I see? There is USB play. So obviously play, it's out of the sound card. So if I go back and I press this, you're going to see that channel 31 and 32 starts doing something, you know. Just by looking at that, you know that the speakers are receiving a signal. Like, you're sure of that. Well, I have seen so much, and I am so traumatized by all the things I have seen. You know, I have been in situations when the meters are showing me signal, but there is no output from the sound card from some crazy reason. Like, all of these things happen, and it's impossible for me to give you a real list of all the things that can go wrong. You will have to develop a logics, you know. How can you, let's imagine that you want to check, like, if there is a signal right now going to the speakers, but the speakers are broken for some reason. How could you check that? Can somebody right now think of an experiment that I could do to prove that there is signal coming out from the sound card? And let's do it. Let's do that experiment.
Wait, to prove that
I want to prove
speakers are...
Use your headphones.
without the sound card. No, I want to prove that output 31 and 32 has electricity running out of it. What could you do?
Plug it in another sound card.
Yes.
Plug in another sound card. Great. Or plug it. We have here. I'm going to bring a little pult. You know, I'm doing this on purpose because I want to develop in you прививки. How do you say прививки, right? Like habit.
Прививки.
And I'm going to prove you that channel 31 and 32 have a signal. And that's cool because you will, if you get a habit of using a pulse, just like to see something like, oh look, you are gonna be able to sort a lot of problems.
Просто достаньте свой микшер.
Да, ребят, всегда должен быть микшер под рукой в кладовке.
So Sebastian, brother, go back there behind the system. Here. Go back there. And so, tell us something. Do you see anything there that you think it's the output to the speakers? Is there any way you can figure that out?
Monitor A.
Great. So let's do this. Please disconnect one of the cables that is in monitor A. Happily disconnected without any fear. And why am I so calm? Because I switch off the speakers. And then connect it back there.
So I wanted to prove that I have a signal there. This thing is working. And yeah, there is a signal. So, I mean, I proved that there is a signal there. Just because sometimes, really, it's look in major studios, the right barefoot. Let me just show this here in the streaming. So I proved that I just connected a cable to the output on the back of the sound card, and I saw that there is a signal. Why am I telling you this kind of like signal flow exercise? In major studios, the right barefoot has a glitch, and sometimes it just switches off. And to fix it, you need to go on the back of the barefoot. And there is like a little krutilka here that you can control the volume, and you need to hit it like with the finger, like, and then it works. And so imagine I'm just a guest engineer in major studios. I'm just a guest engineer there in major studios, and it happened to me once. Like the right channel went off, and I was like, "What the fuck can be that? Like, why? I mean, why can it be the barefoot? Can it be the sound card? Can it be the software that is not sending?" So if I know a way to make sure, like I know there is a signal in the right channel, oh man, it has to be the speaker. And so I remember if I would open my messages, you will see like a 3 AM message like, "I promise you I didn't broke anything, man, like what the fuck?" And then like, no, just touch the krutilka on the back and it will work. And you go like, and then it works. So whatever. Just every studio has its fishkas. So this thing I showed you there, it's like a visual way for you to prove that there is signal. It's going to help you a lot. And we will do another exercise like this in a bit. Similar to something that we did last week. So, great. So I'm going to leave this guy around here. So we can later use it. Okay, so awesome. I have done a whole bunch of things. I checked that there was a signal. I checked that there was a signal in the sim. Things. I talk. I'm in the process of checking my talk back. So now I told that like I was just trolling there and asking questions, and I said we can change content to screen. Input output, because some one of the inputs, something on the output. Where do you do that? Go to your stairs part in the software, and you check here. You see there is USB 132, and this thing can also send more channels out. You can send out to 64 channels, but you care because you know the system 132. I told you. And then against other stuff here, I have a whole list of things that I. So there is one that says USB rec recording. So if I open USB rec, I see here, yeah, my talk is in which channel is it? 16. So what's the meaning of that? Like now let's do something. I'm curious. Like, I want to see that here. 1 second. I'm opening it. I don't know if asking a question. But so what I want this thing in Ableton. I'll tell you how to do it. It's obvious. I think you will be able to figure yourself. But how do you get my phone in Ableton? You can quit it. This keyword is gonna absolutely bother you. So let's take it out of the way. Can you just give a second? Let's put it there, like on the side.
Should I plug it?
No, because it messed up our electric. Good, that's right. So let's try to get signal from the. Yeah, that's it. Let's try to get signal from the. So awesome. Cool. You say there is signal for channel 16. Now let's see if it works again, right? What happened?
What happened?
Why did this here? What happened? Why did it work? It was working like 2 seconds. Well, let me just try to find the problem. Like, yeah, they're just follow the cable and see where it goes. So, I mean, you remember I told like there was like a meter. You can see things with your eyes. So, the first thing you should check there is like, is it right to the sound card? How do you check if it's going to the sound card? In the software or in the meter? So that's look at what you're showing now.
Yeah, but it's very on.
So it's showing you the menu. You don't care about out right now because all you care is about the inputs. So when I see right now, this problem started. I mean, joking. I joke. I see how much we lose. Like it's like 4 or this problem starts. And see, so that's already. That's already out. Yeah. I want to see how much we lose. Like 12, 8, like every minute, kind of like 30 rules something. So, I mean, right? Remember, you're monitoring the input. The output. You don't care the output right now. Right? You want to move to USB rec. It is
Сразу все не буду. Я это, ну, типа, вот как Настя говорит, это было очень 3 минуты назад. То есть деньги мы не потеряли. Мы бы не теряли. Даша, взгляни за пределы того, что ты видишь.
Grab the micro. Can you grab the micro? The actual micro. Yeah, I switch it off. Yeah, I mean that's too fun. Like, sometimes it happens that like you're talking something and you switch accidentally and like what microphone? We have a microphone. That's super useful. Now, okay. I want you to see something. I mean, if I switch microphone, close the speakers now. Nothing happens. Okay, everything is cool. And let's do another thing. I want. Let's see. I want to make that later. I want that please to the middle. I'll go here to the middle. I want you to press play, and switch metal. Go. Play. It is. So why don't you hear it? I don't hear the metal.
Мальчик просто вокал записал.
Там запись. We're like kids.
I don't. I mean, I'm very naive, and I don't like to troll people, so I don't.
Okay.
Actually, it's actually fun. Actually, you know, it would be cool. Go with the Brian. What's on? Let's see. Go ahead. Let's go to the software. You will see. Yeah. Look at this one. Yeah. I told you it was there. So we will. So okay, where's the metronome now? But the monitor of studio. We're in which channel the monitoring of it. So the metronome needs to be in rewarded too. Shabloon isn't you. Like you see on top master, you change the U to RW2. Look, it's the option of output. You see all the monos. We should use like output 1 2 pins. Now you have them here. That's cool. Okay, great. So now check this out. I want to grab this here and put the cover up, like whatever. Doesn't matter what it is. And I put some info here. So this is
Ну, связь то он,
It
и
can
все
be that you will have there, and I think like a key, whatever.
голос.
So, sorry, I'm saying and push this. So, I want to get and I'm just gonna do like breakwork for now. Yeah. So I hear the skip and I don't know why I'm here. Because the preamp isn't so loud. Okay, checks out.
What do you want that happen?
Done this is the first.
I'm really it happens.
Yes, and it happens to me on Sunday. I think like he was doing something. Okay, that means that it's really fun to make it to us. Like you send it somewhere else, like, or we can not send anywhere. We don't want it. Why do you want to hear us talking? Like you can check or to send something. But this is important. Like, you don't hear to hear. Okay, make the best case to check. Like sending go to send us nothing. Which one? And really even wait. Yeah, we don't think go to. So we will figure it out. I mean, I don't know what we do, but just want to be used to you. Okay, that's amazing. Now, I will not kill them. They can hold very much allow it, like it will not but can. I mean, it's like I'm feedback with them. Somebody okay, cool. So I have this now. I want to know which we have. But let me that microphone is too low. Sing another. So do it that microphone louder.
Wearing the knob.
That's where I'm gonna go. I want to find out. I want to find out how to erase this thing. It can happen. I mean, I would like to do something without Jamie. That's what I